Well, a very good morning. Welcome to Eurosport's continuing coverage of the Dav.os cross-country weekend. Mike Dixon, together with myself, David Goldstrom, for this 15 kilometers freestyle race at altitude. And of course, a little earlier today, we had the women's competition won by Teresa Johaug.
Well, this was how they started. Parmakoski, having completed all 4 times around the sprint course yesterday, just coming 6th though in the final. She set out rather slowly. She picked up the second fastest lap time second time round. And Isberg, well, she knows what winning feels like here. She has won the previous 2 years here, but today it was just a second place, 12 seconds behind. Teresa Johaug starting the season with stamping her authority on this season, and in all the distance races, taking it fast from the start, surviving to the line, and yet another victory. 5 in a row in terms of distance racing this season. She's back, and she's back on top form. Her aggression over the first, this is a unique course here, her aggression up to 2.2 kilometers, nearly the high point from the stadium. Blew the field away, and then she had to survive the second rotation of 5 kilometers. She was a little cold there for that jump. She'd been sitting in the champion's chair so long. And what a fantastic December she has had. Or late November, December. The next distance race is in Toblach on the 30th of December. Well, there we have it. So 12 seconds back to Isberg and 19 back to Parmakoski.
Well, Mike, maybe fresh legs also a health factor for Teresa Johaug, because she didn't get involved in the sprints yesterday, but as you say, the dominant lady. And in terms of the distance races in the women's division, perhaps a little paucity in talent, because the next generation is still arriving.
It is. The Swedish team, it springs to mind. There's a real depth of talent there. The Russians are looking good and developing well. So yes, at the moment, Johaug, it's not being pushed.
Well, Dav.os has seen some famous winners in their time, including a certain Petter Northug of Norway. Petter Northug, who on Wednesday announced his retirement, recognizing that he was no longer able to challenge the top men of today. But this man always was special, and one of the greats of Nordic cross-country skiing. 2-time Olympic gold medalist, 13-time world champion, but not recently, and a series of illnesses holding him back, but failed to qualify for the Olympic team in Pyeongchang. But Vancouver was the big moment for him. 2 golds, a silver and a bronze medal. And Northug with the Crystal Globe in 2010 and the big one in 2013. Always a factor in the Tour de Ski, with plenty of stage victories. And of course the other distance, Mike, that he was always good at was 50 kilometers, the World Championships in 2015 in Falun.
Falun, that was a very special day, especially the finish, his final 800 meters, as usual, convincing.
Always controversial, Petter Northug, and even at a young age, they recognized his talent, because he was the first man as a junior back in 2005 who was signed by Fischer Skis, and they never really did that as a junior. But there you can see this fantastic triumph, and we can remember the helicopter spin in 2011 in Oslo on victory.
Well, so many victories in his career, and well, that was the 50 in Falun, and he left it so late. He always did. Hunted for 48.8 kilometers, won at the end.
A few tears, even from Petter Northug on the podium. Great athlete, great sportsman, great flag flyer for Norway and the sport of Nordic cross-country.
His records will live on, David, but I do remember when he'd won those 4 straight titles at the Junior World Championships, and they could have taken him to the Olympics in 2006, and I believe he'd have won at least 1 gold medal there had they taken him.
And he's also a factor here because if you go back to 2011, he won the 30-kilometer freestyle here at altitude in Davos, ahead of Maurice Magnificat and Lucas Bauer of France and the Czech Republic, respectively. He never won a sprint here, but he won the 30-kilometer free. So his name is on the roll of honor here in Davos on yet another lovely morning. And now just about 5 minutes away from the start of today's 15-kilometer races with 103 athletes from 26 nations. But three important absentees. More on that when we come back after this. Once again, a very good morning and welcome, and thank you to all of you who got up nice and early for this men's 15 kilometers. A lot warmer than it was yesterday. It was -10 in the morning, -8 by the time we came to race. Mike Dixon alongside myself, David Goldstrom. This is today's test.
It's a real test, David. The thin air of Davos, lack of oxygen up here, and look at the climb. There we are at the stadium, all the way up to 2.2 kilometers and more. It's still undulating all the way up to 3 kilometers, and then a very simple return trip back down to the stadium. The trouble is that journey has to be completed 3 times. In the women's race, we saw some of the athletes starting this first rise to 2.2 rather fast, and so often it is a major factor in their pace dying off at the end of the race. Pacing is important.
103 competitors from 26 countries, but Shirota, leader of the distance World Cup rankings after his success last week, he is an absentee. He's on the sick list. We wish him well. Digit Tunseth, another great distance runner who actually has won here in classic style. He never planned to come here for this freestyle. And Simon Kruger from Norway, also 3 Norwegians not here. But Mike, as we see the start list here, 2 dark horses, one from France, one from Russia.
Yes, a little unknown on where their form is at the moment. Magnificat.
Let's talk about Maurice Magnificat quickly first.
Well, he just loves this place. He functions well at altitude. This course, it's a worker's track. This is. It's a hard grafter, and he is very, very much up there when it comes to the hard fight. We can see Andrew Young there. Muzzy suits this course as well, just a little. But Magnificat, I don't know why he's been away from the team. I have heard he's been unwell, so we'll have to wait and see what his form is like today.
He's the defending champion, and the man who was runner-up to him last year, Sergei Ustugov, also making his seasonal debut here. And those two, just to keep on the right side of. And Sundby from Norway is the 2-to-1 favorite, with Melnichenko of Russia at 4-to-1. Spitsov, who I know you want to keep on the right side of, at 5-to-1. Magnificat is at 6-to-1, even though we've not seen him, but he's got such a great record here, not just in last year. Bolshunov right up there, and Ustugov figuring in at 18-to-1 in the betting. And Andy Musgrave, who's got a late draw, 15 kilometers individual. This, in terms of the start list and 1 or 2 absentees, gives him a real possibility, and I hope that he's settled in this week at altitude and feels comfortable this morning. And obviously we're all hoping that the service team have got it spot on.
Yes, you need your equipment running well on this track today, and I'm sure those experts will have achieved just that.
Well, they're not the only people to watch out for. 15 kilometers individual start, and that means that it'll take us a while to get going. Sundby, by the way, he starts at 8 minutes towards the hour, and Andy Musgrave, he starts at 2 minutes past 12 local time. But here is the man who's going to get us underway, numerically our path finder, and it's Jason Ruesch from Davos, local track, 24 years of age, represents Switzerland, and away he goes. And he got a point last season in the World Cup. He only got one of them. That was in Planica, over 15 kilometers, but that was in classic stride and glide. And a great crowd once again, Mike.
Yes, often up to 17,000 spectators around the track, in the stadium and around the track, and I think those figures are what they're expecting today.
27-year-old Miyazawa, Hiroyuki Miyazawa for Japan. Yet to go to the Olympic Games, but he was outside the top 60 in the World Cup rankings for last season. His best finish, a 25th place in a sprint. And next man up is someone we really admired, didn't we, Mike? This is the Andorran, and this is Irinu Estev Altimiras, the lone Andorran, but, you know, 19th in Beta-Stollen last week.
I think this young man is a huge talent. He's proved that at juniors. I think he's at 2 fourth positions and a 5th at junior championships. And just look at his style. His technique is mostly in place there. Just a little bit of muscle maturing. And this man will be challenging, I'm quite sure, the podium.
So up this first climb, they get into that pretty quickly here. And a little bit of snow, a couple of centimetres overnight, so they're re-groomed, but everything's good. And there's that board where the athletes are invited to sign in to say that they will be competing fair. In other words, it's all their own effort. Bib number 14 there, that is Magna Haga, the brother of Ragnhild, who had such a really good race in Bajestollen last week, 9th place. Excellent performance by him. And another man we're going to keep an eye on is, at 35 years of age, Chris-Andre Jespersen, who wears bib number 10. He was 12th.
Well, yes, and I think we can expect Jespersen to set all the early catch me if you can times at 2.2, at 3.3, 5 kilometre, and in fact, of course, all the way along the track.
Well, lovely scenery here, and we should get back, hopefully, to 1 or 2 of the starters.
Well, that's the easy way up the hill, or back down the hill.
Yeah,
the athletes have got, it's 87 metres rise from the Stadium David up to that 2.2 kilometre marker.
And there is Magna Haga signing in, and right in front of him there's Max Hauke from Austria. And I'm not quite sure what's happening at this moment in time.
Well, back to the warm-up pen.
Yeah, it's a little bit disrespectful to some of those early starters not to see them away, but maybe there's a camera issue. We don't know about that. And United States of America, Simeon Hamilton.
I think that might have been David Norris.
Yeah, I think it is actually David Norris, yeah, from Alaska.
So he's coming along bib number 19. So the cam before the storm, yes, they've been out testing skis for the last hour 15. Yes, they've put in their warm-up over 3, 4, sometimes further kilometres. And then the final limb and warming exercises while you're in the pen.
Andy Musgrave, well, he's a 20-to-1 shot with the bookmakers. Interestingly, Magnificat won this race last year in 33 minutes and 56 seconds, a month behind. So we'll have to see, but it was a real roll of honour last season. Magnificat, Ustigov, Bolshunov, Kruger, and then Colonia in 5th place. I haven't given him a mention, Mike, but, you know, this is his home hunting ground, and he doesn't always do that well here, but you can't rule him out, Dario Colonia. No, you definitely can't rule him out. It's his training base. He moved here from Valmuster. They've all moved here, the national team. This is their national training centre. So the track knowledge is inbuilt. So here we go with Chris Jespersen, bags of experience, but half the distance from last week. So I just wonder how that's going to suit him, Mike, as opposed to the full 30 kilometres which he was racing in Bajestollen. Well, remember from his World Cup racing, he's had a gap of, what, 2 or 3 years, but he did go to the distance World Cup races. I still think today will suit Jespersen. Yeah, he's also previously had an 8th place here over 30 kilometres in freestyle. Definitely freestyle, that's his discipline. But he didn't make the Olympic Games for Pyeongchang. He was in Sochi when he finished actually 6th in the 15-kilometre classic. So, you know, he's a good sportsman, good athlete. He is, and, you know, Jespersen, he's been around a long, long time. I think way back in, what, 2003, he was winning junior titles. Yeah, Falun World Championships, top 10 in the 15 free there. So Ruesch now, and this is a good picture, just gives you a little bit of indication of the climb up to these early checkpoints at 2.2 kilometers.
So 5:36.7. It's a good time, but I think we can expect when everyone's passed through here, that'll be taken by some 10-15 seconds.
I just want to ask you a question. I can't remember. This is probably very naughty of me, Mike.
Go on.
How fast was Teresa Johaug doing?
6:22.
6:22.
Yeah, up to this point.
I knew you'd know.
You know, I just thought of it there. I hope I've got that right. I'm wrong. 5:59. Beg your pardon.
5:59. You did her down, Mike.
Well, so Therese 5:59.
I mean, that's only 23 seconds slower than Ruesch.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it just shows the start that Therese Johaug had. As I say, I think Ruesch at his time will be taken probably initially by Magna Haga.
So Magna, 24 years of age, and that 9th place in Weiterstollen was his best ever performance. So he'll have his tail up there, but he's a pretty good junior and a pretty good under-23 athlete. He was skiathlon champion, more of that, but here comes our Andorran chasing Ruesch.
Oh, he's had an economical start, although Ruesch, there was me saying that his time may be beaten by 15. You know, I think Ruesch, so young, getting the opportunity to start here, he's really gone out at a crazy pace. I hope he can maintain that pace.
Well, maybe that's being first off in front of a big Swiss crowd and friends and family there, so, you know, wanted to look strong and good going out there, but time will tell. He's certainly up against it. And 23 signing on there in red. That was Yakimushkin of Russia. No Velejanin, another absentee here.
Yes, a change in the Russian team. We've still got some of the big names: Bolshinov, Shpitsov, Yevgeny Belov. He's one of my favorites today. He's a big athlete, and often that doesn't work in these steep climbs.
20-1, the odds the same for him as they were for Musgrave to win this.
Interesting. There's Alex Harvey.
So a long way to go. We're going to take a short break as the early starters come up to the first checkpoint. Well, as you see Mr. Klee going up here, just off screen we saw Pellegrino, runner-up yesterday in the sprint, racing because he'd forgotten his bib, and he's only got about 90 seconds to get himself ready for the start.
Well, it's quite a long way from the warm-up pen where you pick up your number to then go out to the start line. He'd made his way to the start line, just getting his transponders on, and they said, well, where's your number? And good job, he's a sprinter. He had to sprint all the way back to the warm-up pen. Now,
Chris Jespersen, and predictably, Mike, almost a 10-second advantage there. And he's certainly a man we're going to keep an eye on now because he's set some very good splits over 30. And bib number 21, Matthias Rundgren for Norway. And he was just outside the top 20, 23rd in Weiterstollen as well. So opportunity with one or two top Norwegian absentees for some of the other men to try and make a name for themselves. Sundby, 2-1 favourite. My concern about him was, okay, this is half the distance, and of course this is a course where he has a really good record, but his really good record, Mike, is over 30, not over 15.
Yes, he's still there. He's at the very top end, but he's lost a little factor over this last couple of seasons. He doesn't have that final punch anymore, but he's still going to be competitive today and Sundby might actually take the victory.
Young Russian, only 22, and there you can see under 23 medals there. Bronze medal last season in Goms in Switzerland at the under 23 Worlds over 15 kilometers in classic style. And Jespersen still with the advantage.
Max Hauk there with the World Championships, David, coming to Seefeld mid-February. I thought we'd see a much improved Austrian team this year. Not the evidence of that so far.
Federico Pellegrino, well, he is a sprinter. He needed to be a sprinter to get his bib, didn't he?
He's got his start number on. Well, I'm sure in his career that will not have happened many, if any, times previously where you forget to collect your start number.
Want to keep an eye on young Yakimushkin, because I mentioned he got a bronze, but as a junior, and that was only 2 years ago, junior world champion at 15 free. So the Russians have got this new generation coming through.
They definitely have. And Yakimushkin, Svitsov, there's so many good ones. Belov, well, he's now a little older, but titles, 4 or 5 titles as a junior.
Well, it's very necessary, isn't it, Mike? As you see, Haga, so 16 seconds slower than his Norwegian teammate. Who's got it right? Who's got it wrong?
I'm amazed that Jespersen has really set his stall out so aggressively so soon in this race. And he made it look easy. I must say, up to 2.2, Jespersen was looking good. One individual World Cup win, David, for Tony Livers.
Right here, but actually...
Right here.
Right here, but it was a shared victory.
It was a draw.
It was a draw.
With Morris, wasn't it? Magnifica.
I think you're right.
Yes, it was, yep.
Well, Tony Livers, 35 years young, as another man comes up to challenge, and that's Baldau from Austria, within 5 seconds. So it's a little early to judge, Mike, about Jespersen's time. He's got the stamina, but does he have the pace over 15?
Well, it's the third rotation round here. We were wrong. It was actually Vincent Vito who equaled Tony Livers that day, or they shared the podium, the #1 spot.
So a Frenchman nonetheless.
A Frenchman nonetheless. We were right with that part.
37 signing on here, and this is Sergei Ustugov. Well, Mike, we haven't seen anything of him this season, but at his best, I mean, he didn't take part in the sprint yesterday. I think that was significant. So he's only taking 1 race in here.
Yes, when he dominated the sprint so firmly, season 2017, we'd expect Ustugov to still be a good sprinter, but clearly breaking himself into World Cup racing this season slowly.
And this is 22-year-old Jules Lapierre from the Ski Nordique Chartroussin club. And within 2 seconds for this young man, who was runner-up last season in the skiathlon at the Under-23 Worlds.
Third German to start, Florian Notz, just getting ready.
Yes, the Germans don't have that reservoir of talent anymore, do they, coming through?
Well, remember 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, they dominated. And I think for 3 consecutive years, it was a German athlete that took the overall title in the men's
but those were the seasons when Jochen Belle was driving the machine.
Yes, he was. But they've lost their way since then. They have put a lot of money into development, but as yet we haven't seen them
Alex Harvey signing in there. Believe it or not, Mike, Alex Harvey 50-1 for today's race. I can understand why, because he hasn't yet hit his best form, hasn't found that top rhythm quite yet.
Not yet. 1:49 off the pace last weekend, over 30 kilometers. I'm sure in his mind that was a fairly disappointing result.
And 28-year-old, another local man there from Dav.os, Jonas Baumann, starting his run. Very experienced. He's finished the last 3 seasons just outside the top 40 in the World Cup, and back to Rundgren of Norway. And you can see Jespersen up there. And Jespersen's time still holding good.
I think when Rundgren receives the results that you're 10.4 behind your teammate Jespersen, I think in his mind, I think Rundgren will be a little surprised. He does look a little more composed though, so he hasn't gone out too fast over the first 2.2.
37, Ustugov once again, and 40, getting ready, Alexei Poltaranin. Poltaranin's been a winner here, Mike, but classic is his cup of tea more than freestyle. The Kazakh, he is the outstanding Kazakh in the field.
Yes, and he won in 2010 as well. So Poltaranin, but classic is his strength.
Now, here comes this talented youngster for Russia. And, of course, Mike, with all the shenanigans that's gone on, and we still inevitably have questions, it is this next generation that the Russians have got to deliver, and deliver absolutely 100% clean.
They have to. They have to get their house in order, and I really do hope. Yakimushkin, I commentated on him in Almaty when he was a young man, 19-year-old, and I did think then, what a super talent. And they create lots of super talented athletes, and let's just hope that, yes, it's all good and clean in the future.
Yeah. Like every one of you at home, you know, we want to believe everything that we see with our own eyes as being exactly right for the right reasons. Sweden, well, the last man I can find here to win up at altitude was Olsen, Jonas Olsen. The last 15-kilometer freestyle race, that was in 2013. Olsen, Kolonia and Legkov were the 1, 2, 3 on that occasion. But Matti Häkkinen, just a point in Norway last week, but you think he might be better than that? I
thought he's coming back a little. And of course, Matti Häkkinen has won here for Finland. He's one of only 2 Finns to win on these tracks. Mika Mielela, he won twice here in the distant past. So there has to be some nerves tingling there, David, for Ushchikov.
Well, there you can see 12 individual victories over his career. Russians in red this season. And that's great, actually, because it's a straightforward color. The Italians are in green. The Swedes are predominantly white, and this is bib number 38 belonging to Canada's Alex Harvey. World champion, of course, over 50 kilometers freestyle. Great athlete. And you can see there he's not particularly prolific in terms of World Cup victories. Only 7 in his career. Mind you, 7 is fantastic.
It is fantastic. And well, his father, Pierre, was also a fantastic cross-country skier as well.
And he's going to be chased out of the gate by Magnificat, who we'll talk about in a moment. Jespersen, and there you can see Duvia, and 39 here. Here is the man who we think you have to keep on the right side because his record is astonishing. He is the defending champion in 33 minutes 56 seconds last year, and he was runner-up over 30 kilometers in 2016 to Sundby. He won here over 30 kilometers in 2014. And he was runner-up to the great Petter Northug back in 2011 here over 30 kilometers. It's his course.
Do you know, you can often make an assessment. You can look at the first 100-meter event of any athletes or athletes that you know especially, and you can get a good benchmark. I thought Magnificat started with intent for a podium.
Poltaran in a way, and not quite such an aggressive start by this Kazakh. Been around for a long time, yet he's only 31 years of age. But you might remember a bronze medal in 2013 in the World Championships in Val di Fiemme. That was one of his top performances. He's been, though, on the World Cup, a 12-time World Cup winner. He's had 28 podiums, Poltaranin, but his success really is in classic more than freestyle.
Kalle Halvarsson signing his declaration there. He hasn't really, well, in Lillehammer he was challenging. We saw some sparks from him at Ruka, the first World Cup, but he seemed to drop away a little in Beidestålen.
So still up this first climb, Chris-Andre Jespersen being chased up here by, as you can see, Baumann, local man for Switzerland. And right behind him, that's on his second lap, of course, that is Ostapenko of Belarus. Now, Melenchenko, second favourite with the bookies today, Mike. And, well, 5th and 3rd in 2 significant races. 3rd in Beitostølen just last weekend.
Yes, and he didn't realise. He got timings from the coaches with 2 kilometres to go, and he was sitting around 7th or 8th. He said that he maintained the same pace, and he finished in 3rd, so he's got huge amount of strength. He didn't back off at all in the 30 kilometres.
And considering he finished outside the top 60 in the World Cup rankings, he rides in 15th place. But here is the 2-to-1 favourite, Martin Jonsrud Sundby. At the age of 34, out of Oslo there, you can see the stats of the number of victories and podiums. But of course, we say it every time, Mike, until we get to Beijing, if he's still going strong by then, he's still yet to win an individual Olympic gold.
Oh, well, he's won most...
Or World Championship gold, for that matter.
Or World Championships, yes. He's won most, certainly most of the other titles up for grabs over the years.
And if my memory serves you right, a 3-time World Cup champion.
3 times, yes, it was. 4th, he had 1 taken away.
Exactly. But Sundby, well, you know, as I said a few moments ago, over 30 kilometres, he's been twice victorious here.
And this course profile, well, I've talked about it a number of times in terms of Sundby. His technique suits this, his work ethic suits this track, so he'll be without doubt trying to take the title here.
Hans-Christer Holland now to get away, and Hans-Christer, who's 8th in the distance ranking, 17th overall, and again a decent 5th in Beiterstollen last weekend.
Very much. Have a look at his shoulders. He does a lot more upper body drop down than most freestyle athletes. Gets all his upper body weight through those poles.
Mr. Consistent last year, earned 6th place in the season-long World Cup. That's his best season performance to date. And there you can see further up the course, Huverinen, 54 in picture there, Yevgeny Belov. And you said to me, Mike, we ought to keep on the right side of him. Although the bookmakers, they make his chance no better than Muzzy.
Is that right?
And, you know, 20-1. And just worth mentioning that, as you see, Kalle Halvarsen about to start here. Andy Musgrave will have bib number 64 today. He will have Dario Colonia starting after him, 1 minute after him. Spitsov will be starting 2 minutes after him. And Alexander Bolshunov of Russia, those are the 3 big dangers that follow him, will be starting 4 minutes after him. But he's in a really good place. For example, Sundby on his way. So there's a lot of top people out there. Melinichenko, who the British coaches and team can work off those splits.
Very much so. Muzzy's in a good place there, and he's only got, what, 3 seeded by athletes behind him. I think Ushtigov showed us there that he very much is on form at 2.2 kilometres into the race. A good indicator. He's 7 seconds off for Jespersen's pace.
Yeah, Jespersen leading through the first 5K at 11:58.8 ahead of Rundgren, with Yakimushkin 20 seconds behind him. Magnificat.
Right.
Well,
he set
is that ominous?
I think that is ominous. We thought at the first 100 his intent was total for the title again, and he's only 2 seconds off at this point. Well, this is 8.2 actually, further down the track.
Yeah, he was up there, and well, 20 minutes 16 seconds, so getting on for 2/3 of his race. Well, Mike, Yevgeny Belov just on his way, and he started with great purpose as well.
He certainly did. Behind him, or in fact Hakola, seated athlete ahead of him. That's not really a pathfinder. This man is.
Well, that's as good as Magnificat.
This is a sensible pacing, I think, from Sundby. In the past, we've seen him really charging up here, but look at the composure today.
Now, Magnificat and Sundby, they know these tracks very well. So what does that say about Jespersen's start? It suggests that actually it isn't over-ambitious the way that he went out there.
No, I mean, it's a serious contender's time, Jespersen. I have a feeling, though, that with his early start number, that he may well fade the last time around.
So, Fabiano, Francesco de Fabiani, away, the Italian. Better in Classic. His one Classic victory coming a few years ago in Lati. which was a bit of a surprise, but he has improved his freestyle racing. So Jespersen making all the headlines at the moment. Hasn't quite reached 10 kilometers, but at 8.2 kilometers, Magna Haga, his teammate, almost 30 seconds down on him. So can Jespersen keep this up?
It's good. I'm just looking further along the track, and at that 5 kilometer marker, Pellegrino is in 10th, but only 20 seconds behind Jespersen, and Jespersen still holding on to the lead time. I'm impressed with Pellegrino having come second yesterday in the sprint competition.
Well, obviously there's some French supporters here. The French have come here with a really good team, both in sprinters and distance. Jean-Marc Gaillard, and he lies 11th in the distance rankings. He's been 2nd and 14th in the Rooker and Lillehammer races. So now coming up.
Yes, that was Hurland. A lot of, again, that upper body dropping through. His time is good.
And Clément Paris not too far away from starting. Interesting, Mike, that Clément Paris 100 to 1, the bookmakers. He's better than that, isn't he?
Well, Paris certainly, looking through the historic results last weekend, the weekend before, yes, he was 11th in Beide-Stollen 30 kilometer last weekend.
Well, here he is, and there's his credentials. 2 under-23 silver medals. An Olympic Games bronze medal for the French team in the relay.
There's a deep confidence. This young man, Paris and Bachscheider, they feel good about their cross-country skiing.
Yeah, I think he's another power to weight ratio athlete, good for this track.
On this track, supreme.
66 signing up there, and that's the great Dario Cologna. Big cheer for Dario. 17th in Beide-Stollen, but earlier in the season a 4th over 15 kilometers. So Niskanen, well, that's interesting, Mike. Well, Niskanen, the 16th in the distance rankings, 14th overall. That's not a bad start there. And Rundgren coming to challenge Jespersen. Jespersen through the 10 kilometer in 24 minutes 10.
I was just thinking, Niskanen, Lever Niskanen, we saw him coming up. He's certainly improved on his freestyle.
Rundgren has not made any ground, Mike. He's in fact lost times from 7.2 to 8.2. He's actually lost 4 seconds.
No, he doesn't look at his body movement. There's not that impact, that force that he had at the start. He's lost his way with that extreme tempo.
Dennis Spitzov signing on and leading this little train here, Magna Haga. And right behind him there, you've got Alex Harvey on his first rotation.
Alex, I'm quite sure as we move up the track, he'll be deciding the pace isn't fast enough. Alex has got the fresh legs.
Now, here we go. Adi Musgrave, well, what can he do? Mike, 16th here last year, a minute 22 deficit, but in all honesty, Mike, this field isn't quite as strong as last year. There are notable absentees, and he's got a good draw. So they must have realised that when they viewed the start list yesterday.
I'm sure the team meeting last night, all the possibilities will have been discussed. But yes, this field is, some of the bigger names are not here today.
We've not talked about ski preparation. It is warmer today.
It's warmer. It's -4 now, air temperature, -5 snow temperature. Easy. It's not difficult to get the best glide on your skis today. So a lot of the athletes, their skis will be gliding much the same.
So Belov within 8 seconds of the lead up the first initial climb there. So that's promising. Well, the great man. He really is a great man, Cologna. Now 32, that's nothing. Dav.os, Valmoster is his home. We'll be going to Valmoster during the Tour de Ski. And this man Well, Olympic champion over this distance in Whistler, you might remember, in 2010, and he's done it in Classic in Sochi, is over this same distance, and then he did it in Pyeongchang. Who can match that record for 15 kilometers in Classic or freestyle? 3 Olympic gold medals.
Incredible record, and especially when you've got that one moment, that one day, that one morning every 4 years, for him to bring himself up to that same psyche. He is a superstar. Great head on him, very calm head on him. Well, Spitzov, he's got a good pathfinder, just 1 minute ahead of him, and he, I'm quite sure, will be getting the timings off Cologne most of the way around this 15 kilometers.
Yeah, and the British team, in terms of Andrew Musgrave, have got to look forward and look back.
They have. The coach is definitely giving timings from all those in front of Muzzy, but they will be keeping an eye on Cologne and Spitzov behind him.
5 kilometers, Magnificat and Sundby still within 700s of each other. Magnificat 2.5 seconds behind Jespersen at 5 kilometers. And Magnificat 3 seconds behind at 3.2, Sundby 3.9. So they're marking time, those boys. And Backscheider of France, 3.2 kilometers, he was only 5 seconds behind. And Melenichenko has made ground from 3.2 to 5 kilometers. He cut from a 5.5 second deficit to 3.3. So at the 1/3 distance, Melenichenko up into 4th place.
I still feel that Jespersen, he's still leading at 10 kilometers, but in relation to some of those who were earlier, quite a long margin behind, they're closing the gap at 10 kilometers.
Very interesting. You know, I mentioned Rundgren, and Rundgren at 8.2 kilometers had lost 4 seconds, but at 10 kilometers, he's actually clawed back 8 seconds on Jespersen.
Yes, that's my worry for Jespersen. Here he is. He's still looking very strong, very efficient. But did he pace this first section too strong?
Well, this is a big field today, as we've explained, 100 plus. And Spitzov, Bolshunov wearing 70. Not being disrespectful to anybody that follows after him, but the race should be between all those who've started. Bolshunov already on his way, as we see Leichner from Switzerland. So the word has come through that, in fact, Bolshunov has not started. So the World Cup leader and the runner-up in the distance standings. So that's another danger Andy doesn't have to worry about.
Well, that's interesting. Bolshunov, he struggled over the 30 kilometers last weekend. He's still a fighter. He came 6th, but he didn't look as sharp as the previous weekend in Lillehammer or in Ruka, the first World Cup.
Backscheider in reasonable contention here. Backscheider at 7.2 kilometers was 14 seconds behind Jespersen. And he was 6 seconds ahead of Rundgren. So lost a little bit there. So Jespersen at that point still pretty strong, but it's after the 10-kilometer point, and now you've got an early finisher on the far side there, and it's Ruesch, the #1 Swiss. And interesting, what's his winning time going to be? It was 33 minutes 56 seconds to Magnificat last season, and that's what, 36 minutes.
I think that time will be bettered by 45 seconds, maybe a little more, maybe even up to a minute more. Magnificat just gone through 7.2. It's good news. He's 2nd place, 5.5 behind. And that's Jespersen, the early pace finder.
Yeah, that's a 3-second loss there for Magnificat, but we're not too worried about that because we know that Jespersen is beginning to struggle a little bit.
Duvillard, 26 off the pace coming through the passage. So, Dario, how's it looking? Well, I think he'll be a little worried. He's going to be, what, 6, 7, and maybe 8 seconds off the lead time, possibly more. And that'll be a little concern for Dario Cologna.
So, Cologna, okay,
Well,
10 seconds.
Well, if anyone knows pacing and how he feels, and especially knows the profile of this track and what it does to you third time round, I think we have to trust Cologna's pacing.
Musgrave, though, a bigger worry, Mike. 16.6 seconds off. That's too slow, surely.
16's a big margin so early at 2.2. Normally,
I mean, he may well come with a rattle later on, but that's worrisome. I mean, I think, you know, when you consider that's 10 seconds slower than the likes of Magnificat and, you know, again, double the deficit of Ustigov.
But you know what, the thing that I've noticed with Muzzy this season is
his
that
pacing is better.
He's much calmer, you know, he's relaxing in the early parts of the race. So I'm just hoping that we're going to see a big pace change later. But 16 is quite a deficit so early.
Yeah, he's going to have to certainly make a big move in the second rotation, in the second 5 kilometers.
Alex Harvey as well, down 16.5, 16.4 seconds at this time.
Yeah, all the main people are through 2.2 kilometers now, so Jespersen's won that race. Lapierre, who started strongly, he's dropped away. And Melnichenko has made progress.
Well, that's our Alex further down the track, Alex Harvey. And not really at the pace, at the sharp end at the moment.
So here you've got pretty well the full positions with everybody up the first climb. And there you can see Clement Paris within 10 seconds. That's still possible. That's sort of Dario Cologna territory. Think if you're around 10 seconds, but I wouldn't want to be much more than that, Mike.
I think we've always said at the first, at 2 kilometers, you want to be 12 at worst. It's a hard one to pull back.
Second man home. Japanese, and here comes Chris Jespersen into the finish, and he's obviously going to lead and have some moments in the big, nice, warm chair. And there gives you a time there for Jespersen.
Well, he's nearly taken a full minute off the early Pathfinder Rouge. Just 58 seconds ahead of him. I think Jespersen, he seemed to find something, by my calculation, David, he upped his pace again in the final 3-4 kilometers.
Yeah, but that's still a good 2.5 minutes slower than last year's winning time.
Yes, conditions, I mean, could well be the conditions playing their part today, but I do think that Jespersen is going to be contending for a podium with that kind of time. Top 5, maybe. And that's how it feels after 15 kilometers. Hirvinen, he put in a good pace, without a doubt. He held the lead for a short while, but then Jespersen came in to beat him by 43 seconds. Now, this is good news for Sundby. He's managed to get in the slipstream of Denis Spitzov, and that's going to help. Spitzov's legs are 5 kilometers better, feeling better than Sundby's, and this will help drag Sundby on. Good news for Sundby, bad news for Spitzov. Well, this is worrying as well, David. Sundby's pace, we saw him set the second fastest time at 2.2, and now I think nearly 15 seconds in 4th place will worry him. But Spitzov is going to help this case by dragging him around this part of the track.
I think the other guy that we really got to keep an eye on is Melnichenko, who's skiing pretty strongly. Second favourite with the bookmakers. And Magnificat coming up to the 10-kilometre point. Now, at this point, it was Jespersen, as you can see there, from Backscheider, Rundgren, Haga. So At 8.2 kilometers, he was 3.9 seconds behind Jespersen. That's Magnificat.
Well, I think he's pulled that back. I think that's, we'll have to wait and see, but it looks to me like he may well be taking the lead time. You can see the teeth are gritting already, and he's still got 5 to go. It is the new time.
So that's the turnaround, isn't it, at 10 kilometers? So that is over 10 seconds that he's pulled back in the last 1,800 meters.
But then Jespersen seemed to find something in the last 3 kilometers, another spark. He had a dip in his race.
So Magnificat now, everything, remember Sundby, Magnificat and Sundby at 7.2 kilometers. There was just a second between them. In fact, only half a second between them.
We mustn't forget Niskanen, better known for his classic technique, but his freestyle has improved hugely over the summer. He's in 3rd place at 7.2 at the moment.
Musgrave at 3.2 kilometers, another second lost. He's 17 seconds down. So I'm not quite sure. We haven't seen him, so not quite sure what's going on there.
I'm just hoping it's very, very clever pacing. His coaches maybe advising him, okay, take the first 5 within yourself, then start pressing the second 5 and open up everything into the third 5 rotation.
Well, it shouldn't be an equipment problem. How does he usually go with altitude, Andy?
He's good. The altitude doesn't seem to affect him, as it does with some athletes. They perform less well at altitude, not in Andrew's case.
Melnichenko chasing Magnificat. He was 9 seconds down on him at 8.2 kilometers. So a little bit of gain there from Melnichenko, the second favorite.
Well, that's a good gain, actually, David. It was, yeah, 12.5, and now it's 7.8.
Yeah.
On an easy, in terms of profile, an easier part of the track. Niskanen, well, there he is. Big improvement in his freestyle.
Well, it is 8.2 kilometers. Niskanen 7 seconds behind Magnificat. 10 behind Jespersen. It's a good run.
It's a very good run. Lapierre, a good run for a young athlete. Job done.
Yeah, French have got an interesting mix of talent. They've got the likes of Robin Duvillard and Jean-Marc Gaillard as the sort of elder statesmen, the wise heads to bring forward this new generation. It's always a great combination to have.
It really is. There's Spitzov again, 5 kilometers better in his legs than Sundby, and Sundby is taking absolute advantage of sticking in the slipstream. He knows full well that Spitzov is setting a good time. And it's helping Sundby. The seconds are being clawed back. He was 12 point, well, no, he was 14.7. He's now 12.4 behind.
Yeah, so maybe his pacing is going to pay dividends a little later on. 33 leading this trail here. That's Adrian Bachscheider having a pretty good run. Bachscheider, he's there or thereabouts through 10 kilometers. He was 22 seconds behind his French teammate Magnificat. They'll know all about each other, and he was 10 behind Sundby, and what was that, 15 behind Melnichenko. Nonetheless, decent run.
A good run now. Rundgren coming in 34, 35 behind. It's good racing. It's third at the moment, but it's unlikely to remain in third.
Well, I'm not sure he's not going to stay in there, but Belov now, 8.2 kilometers. Now, he got the gap down a kilometer ago to 13.4 seconds. He was about 9 seconds behind Magnificat at that point.
This places him, what, 5 seconds?
So he's closing. He's closing. He's now within 6 seconds of Magnificat.
That's a good news day for Belov.
Melnichenko at this point, Belov is 3 seconds to the good over Melnichenko, and over Sundby, he's 5 seconds to the good. Magnificat at the moment, that's the man we've got our eye on.
Halvorsen, the clock's going to be unkind to him by the time he makes it up to the turnaround. The great Gundus Fan from his home nation only won this race once in his career. That was back in 1987. And 4 Swedes in total have taken this win here.
So 10 kilometers and Magnificat leading Jespersen, who's in the clubhouse as the current leader at the moment. But Melnichenko, Sundby, Holland, Backscheider all queuing up behind along with Belov. Well, continuing to make progress, bib number 39, Magnificat, living up to his reputation here. And you can see he's overtaken Ustigov, who's some 40 seconds behind. And Ustigov, first race of the season. So it is for Magnificat, really. But there's a big difference between the two, isn't there? There is. And you know, Magnificat so often training at altitude, so his body is accustomed to this thin air. Let's be honest, it's in real high altitude terms, it's not a big deal. But when you're racing, the demand for 200 liters of oxygen every minute through your lungs, when it's thinner, it hurts you. And Jespersen holding off one of the Swedes there. Interesting observation, 8.2 kilometers, Mike. Magnificat, we know he's leading at the moment, but he was in second place to Jespersen at that point. And Gaillard, France, was in 7th. Backscheider in 8th. Paris in 10th. This is some good French display as a squad. It is. We just saw Belov go through there, David, as well. He's running in second place, but he's got no company out there. He's on his own. Magnificat has got a couple of people around him. Of course, he's traveling the fastest, but Yevgeny Belov is on his lonesome out there. So Jespersen enjoying himself there. 67 in picture now. You know, Sundby, as I said, by clawing on to Spitzov, it's helping. His deficit is dropping all the time. It was 15, it's now 9.2. Sundby will realize he just has to stick in the slipstream. It's his best chance of closing those seconds down. Jespersen from a very early number, bib number 10. He's got a long wait here. Magnificat was what, number 39? There he is. Magnificat, 1,800 meters to go, Mike, and 32 minutes, 23.5. So it's still a pretty quick race. He's got 10 seconds ahead of Jespersen at that point, and 30 ahead of Magna Haga. But it does show you another really decent race by Chris-Andre Jespersen. A wonderful race. He's securing himself firmly in the red suits to be included in probably the Tour de Ski now. Tour de Ski, maybe even a shout at the long distance, the 50 at the World Championships. Yes, I think so. He's showed now 2 weekends in a row his strength. Backscheider, 33 seconds behind, into 4th place though. Jespersen, Magna Haga, 2 Norwegians, 1 and 2. Jens Borman, 3rd of Sweden, and now coming up here, Cologne, 8 seconds. This is good. This is good, you know. Great news. And it looks to me as if the Swiss have really got the pacing right now, because that 8 seconds puts him right on terms with the likes of Belov. And remember, David, at 2.2 kilometers, Cologne, he now sits 22nd, but 11 seconds behind the early time at 2.2. He didn't chase that crazy early time. Melnichenko through with 1,800 meters to go, but he's 25 seconds behind Magnificat. And the bookmakers clearly knew something, Mike, because they only offered 6 to 1 on Magnificat. Well, whether they based it on his recent record or past record, or whether they based it on, you know, knowledge of form and training, I don't know. But they've got the right side of the odds today. Sundby 2 to 1 favourite, Melnichenko 4 to 1, Spitzov 5 to 1. Look at Sundby now. So he stayed in the slipstream of Spitzov. He's moved ahead of Spitzov now.
His coach is telling him, okay, if you want to really challenge for this victory, you've got to break free, go past Spitsov.
Well, this is the sprint now for Sundby. He's got the gap down between him and Magnificat to 2.1 seconds.
Oh.
So that is, when you look at it, 12.2 kilometers, he was 9 seconds behind. And he was 14 seconds behind at 8.2 kilometers. So you can see what he's been doing in the last 5. He's really accelerated.
I think he owes Spitsov a drink to stay in that slipstream for the 5 kilometers. And now I do think Sundby has a real chance to take the title here.
But here comes the man in blue and black for France, being preceded there by Ustigov. But keep your eyes on 39, because he is the main man and the defending champion. Maurice Magnificat in the lead by 9.7 seconds. And we shouldn't underestimate, Mike, that he was sprinting as well as Sundby.
It's going to be close. Sundby took that initiative to get past Spitsov. Well, you can just see Maurice could do no more. And his teammate helping him there, backside, saying, okay, you're the boss, I'll take your skis off for you.
Well, I wonder whether that's going to be win number 10. That's only at 8,200 meters you're looking there. At 10,000, Magnificat had got the advantage. And Andy Musgrave, 26 seconds down at 8.2 kilometers into the top 15. So he has stabilized, as you suggested, Mike.
He seems to have stabilized. Hopefully it'll come forward now.
Love to see him get a top 10.
Oh, yes, and I think the margins are so close. Muzzy there at 26 behind. Then you do the maths. You just say, OK, pull 6 seconds back and you're 11th.
Yeah, possible.
Yeah, the
possible.
doable, the attainable, the achievable.
So, 12.2 kilometers, Belov.
Oh, Belov is keeping it short. He's sharpened it up a little. He's got a lot of traffic ahead of him now, but they'll let him pass when he shouts. Sundby's got to be coming in soon. Oh, this is Cologne coming up to 10.
Yeah, Belov, by the way, between 8.2 and 12.2, he's actually reduced the deficit by 5 seconds. So 4 kilometers, so it's a second per kilometer he's
and this is what Belov did last weekend. He would be pacing his 30 kilometers so well, but he's got a strong finish every time.
Now,
Dario, this is not looking so good anymore.
No, he doesn't. The power isn't there, is it?
So efficient though, David, but no, that spark, you need that aggressive spark now coming into the last 5.
And that's Melnichenko. It's another decent result, but you know, Jespersen has beaten Melnichenko. You know, Bib 10 has beaten 42. Now, you think of all the advantages that Melnichenko had over Jespersen in terms of information and splits.
Here's the man, Sundby, chasing for this victory.
So here we come. We're in the last 100 now. Magnificat holding on here. Sundby, remember I said that Magnificat was sprinting, and he's sprinting to great effect because Sundby only comes in second place. Jespersen still on the podium in 3rd place, and only 6 seconds separating Sundby and Jespersen. Credit to Jespersen.
Can't believe it.
Yeah,
it is an advantage getting the times, the split, so advantage Sundby. Stronger man,
but you mentioned right at the beginning that sort of little edge of pace. Maybe he doesn't quite have that at this moment.
Yeah, maybe there's just not that punch that he used to have, the final punch. Jean-Marc Gaillard. This is a strong French team.
Oh, it is a strong French team. Yeah, if this was a team event, 58 in picture there.
Oh, Jean-Marc Gaillard, that's incredible how he's paced it so well. Now he's coming good towards the end of the race, picking up the seconds.
Holland. Well, he was 18 seconds down behind Magnificat at 1,800 meters. And you can now see the effect of Magnificat's sprint into the finish. He knows this track so well, and he knows his way home, and it's paying dividends. And Belov now at 32.2 kilometers is within half a second of Maurice Magnificat.
Well,
Mike, you fancied him, and
I did.
at the moment things are looking better than my wager. But Magnificat and Belov, they're even Steven. Now this is all going to come down to that finish.
Well, yeah, as you said, Magnificat's finish was really strong. He's not a known sprinter, never has been, but it was an incredibly fast finish by his standards. Belov has all the information ahead of him.
Jespersen, fourth place. I'll tell you what, Jespersen could be on for a season's best here. 12th in Bijestollen last weekend. That's a great performance by him.
Hey, sorry, David, just further back, Muzzy's time, he's eating up the seconds now. He's paced it magnificently well. He's 12th now, just 22 seconds off the pace at 10 kilometers. And just 3 seconds to pull back to 11th place, then a couple of seconds to 10th.
Yeah, well, top 10 would be great for him. And I'd hope for a bit more than that, but, you know, we did comment 16 seconds. Maybe that was a bit too much to give away. If you'd taken the 6 seconds off now, Mike, where would he be?
Yes, he'd be probably 8th at the moment. Yeah, but I do believe he's going to pull them back. I think we're looking at a 8th position or better. Well, Sweden, it's not another win today. Halvorsen, it's a good time, though, Halvorsen. In 8th position, 37.9 behind.
Yeah, but he's behind Jens Berman of the Swedish team. Magna Hager at the moment in 6th place. Remember, he finished 9th in Bijestollen. Another good performance. But the gaps are considerable. I mean, the first 3 covered by 10 seconds. As you see Niskanen coming in here. Yes, the man who much prefers classic technique doing so well today. Yeah, he hasn't picked up any time, understandably, in the last 1,800 meters. He's just lost there 28 seconds, and he's finished 35. So he's lost 7 seconds in the last 1,800 meters. Oh, that's a huge deficit, a lot to lose. So Sundby and Gaillard and Andy Shields there ahead of Gaillard. Oh, he's paced it beautifully as well. Here's Muzzy. Yeah. Andy Musgrave, 12.2 kilometers, and as you say, he's got himself into the top 10, hasn't he? He has now. What he's got himself into the top 10. Such control, you know, that young enthusiasm when we first saw him. He just attacked from the gun. Now he's saving the fight to when it really matters most on the 3rd lap. Well done, Andrew Musgrave again. It's fantastic. Well, as I said, you know, he was 16th here last year, so that'll be a welcome improvement. When you look at Muzzy's performances, 6th and 15th. 15th was respectable in Bijestollen, 6th in the early part of the season. That was the Lillehammer 15-3. It was, and you know, he's put himself hang on, stop, here we go in red. Belov chasing down Magnificat, and 3, 2, 1. Yes, he's there by 900ths, and Belov takes the lead for Russia ahead of Magnificat. Oh, poor old Magnificat, 0.9 of a second. And given the split times, it is an advantage to get those timings, but well done, Belov. He made 4. I mean, when you look at that, Belov was 0.5. He's finished 0.9. I mean, so what's that? He's made 1.4 seconds in the last 1,800 meters. Oh, the margins are tight. Does he know yet that he's got the win? Well, at the moment, got the win. So Belov, Magnificat, Sundby, Jespersen in 4th place. And the first 4 only separated by 10 seconds. 10.6 seconds Jespersen back, ahead of Holland of Norway. Norway 3rd, 4th and 5th. But Russia and France 1 and 2. And Cologne, he hit that bad patch. Suddenly he looked as if he was really coming into things. He was 8.3 seconds down at 8.2 kilometers, but 8.3 after that 8.2 kilometer, he hit the wall. And De Fabiani, classic specialist, coming in, and this is a respectable performance. 15 kilometers, he loves the distance. And 5th place, that's really good for Fabiani. Well, that's his best ever in freestyle. Yes, as you said, he's a classic specialist. He much prefers classic, but he's now at the top end in freestyle. We mustn't forget Spitzov.
We went through a bad patch, soon be broke away from him. But this is going to be a challenge, a potential for the podium.
Well, Spitsov and Belov were separated by 5 seconds at 12.2 kilometers. So I sort of doubt that Spitsov is going to be quite as good as Belov, Mike.
Yes, he seemed to... he's got it all ahead of him, though. He's got the information at his fingertips. And he's only got 2 seconds to pull back to get 3rd place at 12.2.
And it is a slower race than last year, 33.56 the winning time. And this is significantly slower. Can't remember what the conditions were, though.
Can't remember, but the snow quite aggressive here.
Gaillard into 5th place. I apologise. We shouldn't have been discussing that point. That is a brilliant race from Gaillard.
Season's best. He didn't show that in Ruka. He didn't show that in Lillehammer, but at the top end again today.
I mean, that's a remarkable finish by Gaillard. Colonia, Musgrave into 9th place, but he's not gaining time, but he is gaining places.
Well, Spitsov at 13.2 is an easy part of the track left. He's got an athlete ahead of him, bib 61, that's Verpelu. His father was very famous and won here once upon a time.
Just thinking about that Gaillard thing, he was 2nd in that 15-kilometre pursuit classic in Lillehammer. So, you know, that's a 2nd brilliant race. And here you can see Spitsov's gap. He's gone from 5 seconds behind to 7 seconds behind. So Belov looks safe to me. I can't see anybody else out there, Mike, who's going to take it away from Belov.
Nope.
I really can't. He looks as if he's he's there. He's got the job done.
Belov will be doing the calculations, just thinking about that last part of the course, the final 1.8 kilometers. There's not a whole lot of areas where you can pull big time back.
Well, you know, he's not exactly over-raced, is he? I mean, you know, 4th in Beidestollen over 30 kilometers. I mean, he's come here, relatively fresh athlete.
And he has had a World Cup podium, I think, once before. That was 2016.
Yeah, 2016 in Canmore, 15 kilometers freestyle in the Nordic Centre. So is this the name you dream about, becoming a World Cup winner?
Oh, well, there's still Spitsov out there that may challenge him.
May, but you know, I'm thinking that's not going to happen. Victor Thorn.
Well, Muzzy, sorry, further back down the track. Remember, Colonia was ahead of Muzzy. Now Colonia is behind Muzzy at 13.2.
Yeah.
So Muzzy's picked up the pace. He's still picking up the pace. Here he comes.
I think he's in about 9th place at the moment. And, of course, there's Spitsov out there, who's started after him. So you can see behind Fabiani now. And those places, you can see how Haga there. Is he going to make Haga?
Come on.
Yes, he's held on to 9th, so Spitsov coming could push him down to 10th, Mike. But if he holds on to 10th, that's another decent race from Andy Musgrave.
Well done, Muzzy. Very, very composed today, starting so disciplined. Maybe you alluded to possibly a little slow, but it's worked. It's worked for a top 10 at the moment.
Well, if I took that 6 seconds off, Mike, just, you know, that could have pulled him up, could theoretically have pulled him up into maybe 7th place.
Yep, it's all good racing. When you're under top 15 in the World Cup races, you're at the very sharp end of cross-country.
Now, Colonia running out of time here. He's not, as you can see, he's not going to overtake Muzzy. Getting a big cheer, as he deserves. But it's funny, Dav.os and Colonia, so often he's been playing second fiddle to someone. He played second fiddle to Turnseth. That was in 2015 when the race was 15 kilometers classic style. He played second fiddle to Olsen in 2013 when it was 15 kilometers freestyle as well. And last year he finished 5th here. And now Spitsov, and Spitsov running out of time here, but good enough to get into the top 10 for sure. Finishing with gusto into 4th place, just ahead of Chris Jespersen. Musgrave down to 10th place. But the first 5 competitors, Mike, 10.6 seconds only separating them. But I think it's fair to say that although there are a lot of late starters in this race who are ranked significantly below those who finished, congratulations to Yevgeny Belov, officially a World Cup winner for the first time. So Maurice Magnificat can't complain. Look at that winner last year, and he's been, that makes 1, 2, 3, 4 times he's been a runner-up here in Davos. Oh. And there it is. This is unofficial because there are still plenty to cross the line, but that's the way I think it's going to finish, because I can't see anybody. I'm looking at 13.2 kilometers. And in fact, I'll go back a little earlier. I can't see anybody else getting into this. We'll take a little break, catch our breath, come back and essentially wrap up what has been a good late morning for Russia and Yevgeny Belov. Well, this is Yevgeny Belov coming in to finish the race here. And really the big push for him came from 12.2 kilometers, then 13.2 kilometers when he was really on terms with Maurice Magnificat, and he got the gap down to 500ths, and he found an extra 1400ths to turn that deficit into a profit by 900. So congratulations to him. And well, he, with this sort of form early in the season, got to be on the shortlist for honours at the World Championship. Certainly a challenger.
Certainly a challenger, and look at the strength of this Russian team. 1st position, 4th position, 9th position. Look at the relays, they're going to be challenging. But of course, they've got Norway in the way, and now the French team looking so good as well. Yeah,
I was going to say, Mike, actually, that is noticeable, the Russians getting 3 in the top 10.
15K, how was it today?
So, thank you my team for prepare this competition. All will very good, skis, service, all okay. And about the race. From first lap, I feel hard, but after first lap, on the second lap, my team say me what I not so bad on the second lap, and in the last lap I make full, and I very happy what I can.
Well, congratulations. That was a very good performance. Thank you.
Well, it's a bit more than very good, you know. That was a blinding performance. So, to win your first World Cup.
He's so modest, isn't he? He said I was going quite well. My team told me. He didn't even know it. My team told me I was doing quite good. And then he went full pace on the last 5.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a runner-up on 5 previous occasions, so that's a bit special for Belov to be in there. And also, you know, he's had to wait, what, 2 years to convert second into first. Well, Mike, it's been an enjoyable race. Just to quickly reiterate, Belov, Magnificat, Sundby, the 1, 2, 3, Spitsov 4th, Jespersen a brilliant 5th, Gaillard 6th, De Fabiani 7th, Holland 8th, Melichenko 9th, and Andrew Musgrave 10th. Well, of course, we'll wait for the overall standings because that will have some effect with Didrik Turnsteth and also Shirota not involved in today's race, or Simon Kruger. But this is a significant moment for Russian cross-country skiing in the early stages of this new season.
It is, Belov, and you know, there's so many. Melnichenko mentioned it, Spitsov, there's so many names now at the top end, and Ushchikov, he will be back. He needs a couple more races, but it did go well today.
But also, if you look at the time differences, Andy Musgrave, just to reflect on it, last year he was a minute 22 behind Magnificat, and he's finished today 30 seconds behind the winner, which is effectively 29 seconds behind Magnificat.
30 seconds, and remember, he'd lost 16 at only 2.2 kilometers, but I think that's relevant to the outcome. Had he been 10 seconds faster there, it can hurt you later. Andrew Young is going well. He's still out there, David, but at 10 kilometers, he was only 1 minute off the pace, 40th position.
So just waiting for the points. But of course, cross-country skiing coming to its own special moment after the Christmas holidays. Now, this is what we've got for you to look forward to. The Tour de Ski. Starting off traditionally in Toblach and then going to the home of Dario Colonia, Valmoster at altitude, Oberstdorf in Bavaria, well, actually in the Allgäu in the southwest corner of Germany, before going to Val di Fiemme for that horrible, horrible finale, the big climb. Mike and Patrick Winterton will be your hosts for the whole of the Tour de Ski, whilst I'm circulating around the four hills. But there's one very happy man. The first win is very special, Mike.
Do you know, and it can often open the floodgates, so I think we can expect a lot more from Yevgeny Belov this season, and maybe through to the World Championships.
Yes, I think this is a season where many are going to pace themselves. I think it's going to be interesting to see who tackles the Tour de Ski. But you would think that Belov has tuned himself up very well for the Tour de Ski.
You would think so. It depends what they do now. They may well stay in Davos. I know the American team are staying here in Davos for Christmas. And if you stay here, get some distance training in, recharge the batteries. That's the all-important thing now, is recharging.
And that recharging at altitude, Mike, is that good in context for what they were facing? I mean, Valmoster's at altitude.
Valmoster, and then, of course, Val di Fiemme, 950 meters. That's fine, absolutely fine.
Well, that's it. I hope you've enjoyed today's race. We have. It's been a really competitive contest. And just a reminder, Chris-Andre Jespersen completing the top 5, 10 seconds only separating the top 5. But today, this is the day, Sunday the 16th of December 2018, a red letter day for the man in red. Yevgeny Belov of Russia becomes a World Cup winner. From Mike Dixon and myself, David Goldstrom, thanks for your company. Bye-bye from Davos.